This is a focus list, and for the past 18 months, I've been using this ridiculously simple productivity hack to actually get things done and stop procrastinating for good. So in today's video, I want to reveal to you all the secret way to use the focus list so that you too can start achieving your goals and dreams. And the best part is that I put this all together in a simple 3-part framework I'm calling the 3 C's method. So all you need to do is just follow the steps in order. And if you're lucky, I might also show you why I'm wearing these sunglasses. Well, that's enough hanging around. As always, the timestamps are on screen and they're down below in the description, but let's get right into the video. Now, the first C in our framework of how we're going to start using focus lists to be productive is something that I'm calling capture your ideas. Now, I have a crazy theory that I have to share with you guys, because I feel like the reason why so many of us feel unproductive isn't actually because we're not doing enough. It's because we feel like we should be doing more, especially when we find ourselves comparing our lives to everything we see on social media. And all of the other productivity creators that I'm sure you must have watched before are gonna hate me for this, because the solution to this problem of being productive is so easy. It takes literally 2 minutes to do. So the first step, and what I did in initially setting up this focus list, was just carrying around a pocket notebook and a pen. And then throughout the day and throughout the week, whenever I had any sort of idea or thought of what I wanted to do with my life, I just write it down on a page. And if you've not watched any of my videos before, I can practically guarantee that at this point, you're sat down thinking,
"This is so stupid. I can't believe I clicked on this video. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about."
But isn't that the point? Look, I mean, I'm not going to overcomplicate things for you just for the sake of trying to sound more smart or more intelligent than you are. No, I think that oftentimes the reason why things work so well is because they're simple. And simple doesn't mean ineffective. By writing down all of your thoughts and ideas as they come up in a weekly focus list, you actually solve 2 big problems that I sort of alluded to earlier. Problems that I think you can run into quite easily if you're trying other productivity tips, techniques, and hacks. The first problem you solve is that by writing down all of your thoughts and ideas as soon as they come up, you're actually transferring all of that information from your brain down to paper. That way, you don't have to worry about trying to remember everything, or maybe feeling like you've missed out on some crucial bit of information. And from this, you actually have the kind of mental clarity and mental headspace to be creative and try and look for new opportunities where you wouldn't otherwise have seen them. The second big problem that the focus list solves is that by having all of your thoughts and ideas written down, you have a really clear overview of everything that you could be doing with your life. So at that point, you can start to decide and think about focusing on the things that are most important to you. But at this point, you might be wondering how on earth you start to decide what's most important for you. And for the eagle-eyed viewers, you might have noticed that there are some numbers on my focus list. And that's where the second C comes into play. So the second C in this system is all to do with those numbers that you can see on the focus list. And this part of the framework is something that I'm calling categorize your ideas. But I can guarantee that if you've got to this point, there's still going to be one huge blockage that's stopping you from being productive. And I know this because I ran into it very, very soon after I started with the focus list. For you to see this problem in action, let's take a look at my focus list from this last week. Have a look at some of the things I've written down. You'll see that I've got written down things as diverse as looking for a new flat in London, which let me tell you is a nightmare. I've got about 14 different essays I need to start prepping for. I also need to find some time to edit some of these videos, but then I've also got some sort of smaller things, right? So I need to buy some new curl cream for my hair, for example. And here's the problem. And you're gonna kill me because it sounds so simple, I don't know how I never thought about this sooner. It's that because all of these thoughts and ideas of what I wanted to do in my life are so different, they also all take vastly different amounts of time, energy, and headspace to actually do. The good news is that there's just one change that I made to the focus list that completely transformed my productivity forever. So for me to tell you what this is, I need to ask you a question. This is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill, you wake up the next day, still doom scrolling in your bed, forever destined to be unproductive. You take the red pill, you stay in my video, and I show you how productive you can be. Look guys, I am aware they are just berries, but that's all I had in the house, so let's just go with it. All I'm offering you is the truth, nothing more. Oh, thank goodness, guys, you've chosen the red pill. I thought I lost you for a second. Well, maybe you've seen this method before, and it's all to do with something called the Eisenhower matrix. You get where I'm going with it now. And this amazing productivity technique was first introduced to the world by Dwight D. Eisenhower, who's a former US president. And obviously this was a different type of matrix to what I was thinking. But the reason why this Eisenhower matrix works so well when you apply it to the focus list is that it starts to give all of your thoughts and ideas more clarity. When I tried this out for myself, the results were extraordinary. I mean, let's go back to that focus list from this week. You'll see on Tuesday, I wrote down a 1 next to publishing my newsletter, which, if you don't know, is a weekly email that I send out every Tuesday to over 1,500 people, where I give you loads more systems, productivity hacks, and techniques that you can use if you want to stop relying on all this complex digital technology. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll leave a link for you to sign up and join our community down in the description. But if we go back to our focus list, you'll see that anything I have with a 2 written down next to it means that it's something that's really important for me to do. In this instance, let's use the example of planning one of my essays, but it's not super urgent. So what I'll do from this is usually just take a little bit of time and schedule it into my calendar, so I have a little bit of an idea of when I can start that task. And you'll see here, I put a number 3 down to things like making a reservation at a restaurant. But I do something quite weird with these number 3 tasks, and I'll show you that a little bit later in the video. And finally, if I put a 4 next to something like this, this was a thought here of me wanting to start my own personal website, it means that I'll reconsider if I actually need to do this thing at all. And this means that I'm not going to stress about doing it because it's neither urgent nor is it important. By this point, you've written everything down and you've also categorized all of your thoughts and ideas according to the matrix. You might still be sat there wondering, Ollie, that's all well and good, but how can I actually get these things done? That's where the final C comes into play. And the secret for how you're going to explode your productivity is going to blow your mind. The final part of the framework, the final C, is called choose your battles. Because look, this took me way too long to realize, but the sad reality is there's just not enough hours in the day to do everything that we want to do with our life and everything we've got written down on our focus list. So no matter how many times you might sit there and watch David Goggins scream at you to wake up or stay hard, we still haven't yet actually discovered how to be so productive and so disciplined you can actually break the laws of time and space to give you more hours in the day. Well,
my day is 6 a.m. to noon, and I'm not crazy. You're crazy for thinking it takes 24 hours, just like some dude in a cave did 300 years ago. My second day starts at noon and goes till 6 p.m. That's day 2. And then the next day is 6 p.m. to midnight. What I've done now is I have changed and manipulated time. I now get 21 days a week.
Apart from maybe that guy. But fear not, because I want to give you the 5 simple hacks that I use when I'm deciding what I should prioritize and focus on, allowing me to actually get those things done in the day. Hack number 1 is that anything that has a 1 written down next to it, I'm just going to try and get done as soon as I can straight away in the day. But there is a super important step that you need to take to avoid feeling overwhelmed by all of these things that appear quite urgent and pressing. Because these tend to be sort of the most energy intensive tasks, you're going to want to limit what you do here to only 2 or maximum 3 things a day. That way, you're going to find it really easy to find the motivation to actually do these tasks, and also they're not going to carry on into future days and just really wear your mental headspace down. Right, the next hack is that anything with a 2 written down to it, I'm going to schedule a time in my day to do. And one of these tasks that I recently scheduled in my day was to try and improve my editing skills. So I scheduled in a time in my week to take an editing class on Skillshare, who are kindly sponsoring today's video. If you haven't heard yet, Skillshare is the largest community online for creative people, just like me and you. And they have thousands of different classes in countless categories of things. Do you want to know the best thing? It's that I discovered that Skillshare actually have a class on editing by Ali Abdal. And if you know anything about me, you'll know that Ali is one of my favorite YouTubers and somebody that really inspired me to pick up the camera. So I knew that I could trust Skillshare and his class to give me the skills that I need to produce, I think, pretty decent looking videos. So as we're all sort of reflecting on the end of this year and thinking about setting some new goals for 2025, I think Skillshare is the #1 place you want to look, especially if you really want to level up your skills and maybe even try something new. Do you want to know the best news of all? is that Skillshare have given me an exclusive offer to share with all of you guys today, and you're gonna love it. Because the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. Get started today. So thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and I really encourage you guys to check this offer out in the description. But let's get on to hack 3. So this hack is something that I mentioned earlier, and it's all to do with those tasks on your focus list that you're gonna give a number 3. And it's all to do with a concept that I first found out about when I was listening to the audiobook of Rich Dad Poor Dad. But let me let you into a secret about this book. And it's not that the author that wrote this actually is a bit of a fraud. No, instead, I don't think this book is actually that good, and I got so annoyed at the author just repeating the same 3 concepts over and over again. But there is one thing that is very applicable to exploding our productivity. The idea, again, is quite simple, but as your income increases, your value per hour starts to increase too. And at that point, it makes sense to start spending more time on the things that are earning you money or even giving you happiness than things that take away from that. For example, you might find that it makes more sense for you to pay somebody to clean your flat than do it for yourself. Your sort of value per hour is more. Now, the next hack is something that you are gonna absolutely love because it's the easiest part of the video. And basically, anything that has a 4 next to it on the focus list is something that is not urgent and it's not important either. So I'll usually just ignore it because I probably just wrote it down in the moment thinking, oh, well, sounds like a decent idea, or yeah, why not? That's not to say that one day it might become urgent or it might even become important. And that's why I'm experimenting with keeping a long list of all of these task 4 ideas in a Notion page. That way, if I'm ever bored or don't have any ideas for a video, or I just want a way to get my creative juices flowing, I can have a look through this list and see what tickles my fancy. Now, the final hack, hack number 5, is probably the most important part of this video. Because by this point, you've done all of the hard work and you've got one of the easiest productivity systems you'll ever encounter. I mean, all you need is a notebook and a pen. But the biggest problem is that in today's age, we all still do rely on our phones or our laptops to actually get a lot of this work done. And all too often, if we're being honest with ourselves, it's not actually the system that's stopping us from being productive. It's that we're falling into those cheap dopamine hacks and just doom scrolling through social media. So to find out the easiest way of getting back your attention span and to find out the secret method that I use to balance digital and physical technologies while staying productive, you're gonna need to watch this video here. So I'll see you all there.